Laps to go. Berry and McCaskill. And McCaskill got through the gearbox better than Josh Berry that time. Beat him to turn one. The problem is Berry's got the shorter way around. Bobby McCarty is going to fill the gap. Deac tried to fill it. Contact with McCarty. And we've got big problems. Nearly up and over is Brandon Pierce. And all of that started with Deac McCaskill trying to chop down on Bobby McCarty. Justin Carroll, Brandon Clements, Josh Yeoman, Brandon Pierce, all a victim of this one. And we have got a junkyard in turd number 3. Ouch.
I have a ton of respect for Deac. I had a clean view of it, and I'm on the side that Deac came down. Bobby was definitely there. I passed somebody and said that Lane was pushing Deac, and so that may have had something to do with it, but I still think, he just kind of, he knew that if he got, the bottom was predominant here, and I think Deac knew that if Bobby got by him, I was pretty close, and, there was probably going to be a train of a couple get by him. So my only thing was he actually had enough. If his spotter would have just told him to tap the brake, he could have tucked in behind Bobby in front of me and probably got him back down here. And when Bobby went spinning, somebody got in the back of me. I had it missed and got in the back of me, and then I hit him in the driver's door.
Yeah, the 08 just came down on the whole field there and just, destroyed 6 or 7 cars. I don't know. I did have a lot of respect for Deac. I don't know what he was thinking there.
Seemed like one guy helping another guy win a championship to me, to be honest with you. I'm at the man's door. I went and talked to him. He's trying to act like I stuck it 3 wide, but he tried following in behind Josh, and I was at his door, and he just run us into the inside wall, and I know they're buddies and stuff, so I reckon he just helped his buddy win a championship. I don't know what else to say about it. I hate it for my guys. We didn't have the greatest car, but I'm tired of being the nice guy. Every time I'm the nice guy, this happens, so they want to know who I am. They're going to find out for the rest of the year.
My spotter sat outside. Lane had kind of got up to my bumper, and I didn't want to get turned into the wall, so I just made that initial little jerk off of Lane, and Bobby was there, and we hit. And unless I see something different on the replay, but I'm just sorry. That's all I can say, man. I hate it, man. He hollered outside, and when he did, I didn't want to get, my initial reaction, I didn't want to get turned into the wall, so I just kind of come off that lane, and Bobby was there, and we hit. And unless I see something different on the replay, I'm sorry. I hate tearing stuff up, man. I can't even enjoy this finish right.
Josh Berry took the lead just past the midway point of this one, and it has been all number 88. He survived multiple restarts, a number of cautions, a late race challenge by Deac McCaskill, and Josh Berry will ease it into turn number 3. And for the 3rd time in 2019, Josh Berry is going to take Junior Motorsports to Edelbrock Victory Lane, the Cars Late Model Stock Tour, winning the Solid Rock Carriers Crystal Coast 125, presented by Moore's Old Fashioned Barbecue and WITN TV. How hard was it, though, to be as patient as you were riding back at about that 3rd spot, 2nd spot for a while, knowing you had a car that good?
Yeah, it was tough. We just tried to manage it early on, and the outside is tough on these restarts. We wanted to try to keep ourselves on the bottom, and, we got to 2nd, was going to try to hopefully pressure the lead, and the caution come out. We kind of got stuck on the outside for a little bit, but we had a great car at the end. I know Deac was pretty good. He made a good run there, and before we caught all that lap traffic, but, just awesome night. Just so thankful to be doing this still. Been doing this a long time. And Dale Jr., Kelly, LW, everybody stuck behind me. Mark Thomas, all things automotive, and all our guys for all their hard work. John West Racing Engines with David West does a great job. And Jay Hedgecock, WP Shocks, all these people do a great job. And I just want to also give a shout out to Kurt with Solid Rock Carriers. He does a ton for our sport. He's sponsored me a few times in some one-off deals, and he does a ton for this sport, ton for this racetrack in this area, and without, this sport needs people like him.
All right, joining us is Chris Ragle, series director for the Cars Tour. Home after another interesting weekend at a Cars Tour late model stock car race. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Yeah, glad to be back. Glad to be back with you guys and back in back in the saddle here, getting ready, recapping this one and get ready for the next one.
Another weekend of a good field of cars and another fun-filled weekend. I mean, obviously Carteret County Speedway. I don't know about you, but I don't know if there's a more fun place to go to based on the way that the racetrack is laid out with the bar in the infield and all that. I'm sure that's right up your alley.
Yeah, no, Carteret's an awesome place. I mean, by the beach and a bar and restaurant inside. I mean, it's what a great design for Bobby Watson. And I mean, we had those rains that came in a little early, and it's just really accommodating for those small teams that don't have an AC or small trailer or something like that to get out of the rain or get out of the heat. It's just really nice for everybody be on the same playing field, I guess, to go in there and just sit down and cool off and then overall just the quality of the place. I know they had the hurricane hit, still 100% like it ever was, and definitely cool to be back there. It's just a great atmosphere. I think it's a place that a lot of people really like to go.
Absolutely, for sure. Hate that I missed that one, for sure. But we had it covered on Race 22, no doubt about that. I guess the first thing I'll bring up from the weekend itself. Adam Lemke didn't make the trip. Tell us about what you know about that situation and what kind of Touring 12 implications you have there for that charter, I guess we could call it.
Yeah, as far as him not being there, I think it's kind of an internal thing with Junior Motorsports. Just past that, I don't really know the ins and outs or any of it. But as far as we're concerned in Touring 12, I mean, be the Touring 11 going forward. No one will really fill that gap or anything like that. We'll just kind of stick to what we have, and going forward, it'll just be 11 guys on the programs, and with us just having 3 races to go, 2 of them here in the month of August, coming up with the Throwback and then the Mid-Atlantic Classic. It's just pretty late in the season too, and we've got other programs in place for those guys that aren't on the Touring 12, and it would alter all those, and some of those are set to get some $500 bonuses at Hickory, so. That's kind of where, from our standpoint, where everything's at.
Well, I've asked you this before, but here we are revisiting it again, so I think it'd be a good time to ask you again. Touring 12, do you think it, I know you had, more applications than that, last year, but here we are 2 years in a row, having guys kind of get messed up as the season goes on. Do you feel like that's too many, or do you think that even if it was a Touring 10, you would have had, Adam Lemke in there and this same situation could have happened?
I think with this particular situation, whether it was 6 guys or whatever, being it was an internal thing and nothing really to do or any bearing or anything on the Cars Tour itself, then I don't think it would have mattered. So that's that I still feel like it's Touring 12's a good number. If like I said, we, it's I don't want to let 1 or 2 occasions, and you might have 1 or 2 of those occasions every year, but
right.
If I would sure hate to for one person out of the 12 every year to take away a phenomenally good program. So I still think overall the program's great. Guys love it. It's like I said, sometimes it's just one bad apple every year, and I guess if you have 1 out of 12, that's not too bad of numbers. We don't want to see any of them, but I think it's just kind of the nature of the beast,
right?
Type of thing.
I agree with you 100%. you mentioned the rain. Rain kind of got you guys early on in the day. Cost the teams one of the practices, of course. The day before they had plenty of time to get on the track. One guy who really stood out, early on in the race and during qualifying is a guy who had never been to Carteret. Doesn't race with you guys a whole lot. Raced a few times this year, but Chad McCumbee, obviously qualified on the pole and led a good portion. Man, I can't talk today. A good portion of the early laps there. Impressive to see, a guy like that, come out of the box and be that good at a track that he's never been to.
Yeah, no, I mean it is, and like I said, we did get rained out, and we were supposed to get those 2 30-minute sessions, and only getting just one little 15-minute, and then went into qualifying, and Chad, we had the test day, and everybody was there for that. But and then even in the 15-minute session, Chad was fast, and Chad seems like he only gets to race with us maybe 4 times a year, and every time he's there, he's fast. He's in the mix. He's one of the top guys. He would definitely be a huge asset to the series if it was a thing where he raced with us on a regular basis. He would be perfect fit for the series, but he's got a lot going on with road racing and things like that. So. Motor mile, he was quick, kind of got shuffled back, maybe hit the wall a little bit if I remember. Chad's usually pretty quick, and it was good to see him, fast and up front, and it shows those guys that you can kind of come out of nowhere and not have to be there to race and still be in the mix, and probably another guy too that. Talking about guys that were early on and fast, and that was really quick in qualifying, and it really piqued my interest, and was just an excellent guy, and that was Brandon Clements there, the track regular there, and former track champion.
Yeah, he was really good. I believe he got caught up in that wreck, the big wreck at the end, but. And I don't know if these things are in order because I didn't make my notes very well while I was watching the race at 3 a.m. Saturday morning. But I'm gonna ask you about these anyways. At one point, right after a restart, looked like the caution lights came on as the cars were going into turn 1. Tony Stevens, your announcer, made reference to it, and then they went right back off, and they kept going. What happened there?
Yeah, so that's something that I never even. I feel like that must have been pretty well towards the mid to second half of the race. I didn't even see it. I assume that maybe just a mistake or an accident on our flagman Brandon Willard's part. Maybe just kind of hit it right there. They are. I do know just from looking down at the flag stand. A lot of times your switches are on the side of your flag stand, and I believe at Carteret they're at the part facing towards the racetrack that you would lean over to. So maybe so. That particular at Langley. Maybe matter of fact, I thought I saw something on this. This one I didn't even see, but I guess I was kind of told the same thing. So, if it was an accident, just something we got to address to make sure that doesn't happen again or anymore.
Right. Also had the lights go out in turn 1 at one point.
Yeah.
During caution, I believe you guys were coming back for a restart. Tell us what took place there.
Yeah, no, it just get back racing, and after stuff, and the lights come out, and the folks at Carteret, good job, great to work with. They were on it, and I joked and came on the radio, told them just to maybe somebody tripped over a cord, just reach over there and plug it back in. But I guess a kid just turned the switch off from what they said. They didn't have it locked up or never had an incident and anything like that. But so I guess one of the things that every time you have one of these events, you're learning and stuff like that. So I guess they need to get some locks on their light switches. But the switch that was over by that section, anyways, I guess was youth accessible, shall we say, and he flipped the switch on it and turned it off. So it took us a little bit to find out what it was, and then just for him to take about 5-7 minutes to go ahead and come back on.
Gotcha. That's interesting. As a promoter, I've actually had that happen to me before, so that's a good one.
Well, there you go. Well, it makes them guys feel better then, because they felt pretty bad about it. I said, well, just you don't really think of those things, and if it's never happened, sometimes they slip by you. But it was a little bit of a delay there, but pretty quick work. Got it back flowing and going pretty quick.
Yeah, honestly, at most racetracks, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. A lot of the racetracks have individual switches on the poles, and they're right there, and you can reach them from anywhere. So, I mean, I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often. Another kind of weird thing for you guys that happened this weekend, I guess, corner worker in turn 4, I believe, put out his own yellow flag and stopped the race. I heard that the radio was pretty lively after that. So tell us about that one.
Yeah, I don't particularly. I wouldn't say that he stopped the race. It was an incident where at the same time, and I guess the reason for it or whatever was that we had some rubber or a piece or of debris of whatnot came off the pace car. It ended up being the pace car. I think what it ended up being was a wheel well. Probably just from the rubber buildup and things like that. A lot of these places now you see that especially at a place that's a little rougher, like Hickory or something like that, this rubber doesn't really go into the track. It kind of balls off and goes off in chunks, and going around the inside groove one time and outside groove another. Pace car collects a lot of it, so something must have knocked that out, and then he made a mistake by throwing his own yellow instead of going off of race control, and then we had to let him know that's not really acceptable from the Cars Tour standards and things like that. It kind of from one, cautions are called from me, just me from the tower.
Right.
Nobody else calls cautions or greens or anything like that. That way, it is just one source, so everybody's on the same page. So, luckily, I think it was seen by some competitors, but it was also, within right away pretty quickly the yellow being thrown for the debris from the pace car.
Gotcha. I guess from his standpoint, I guess that's the normal policy, for them to display their own yellow flag at Carteret County, and he was a Carteret County official, I believe.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yep. No, that's correct. I think that's kind of the way they do it, and I mean he's I think he was just kind of and we kind of go over that stuff in advance, but I know sometimes you just kind of get in what you're used to, and we have a set thing where I'm on channel 1, and I kind of work with the select few, the pace car, the flagman, restart zone spotters, the officials, and a few selected those, but all my pit workers and safety and all that stuff's on there. On our number 2, our safety and cleanup channel, which is Danny Willard there, so he would have been on that channel too. So, and we specifically do it that way because no one else besides myself calls the yellow. So,
right.
It's just one of those things that just got to get better on. Maybe training these people a little bit more, and or it just could have been just a human mistake. After that, it didn't happen anymore.
Right. I guess the biggest thing that happened there this weekend, about 16 laps to go, had a restart. Josh Berry on the inside, Deac McCaskill on the outside. Then had a big crash going down into turn number 3 as Deac McCaskill, I guess, moved to block. I don't know that he moved to block. Let me rephrase my words there, because the way that kind of transpired, it kind of all happened really, really fast. With Lane. So you take us through what you saw from the tower in that incident.
Well, I think it's all going to come down to of everybody's going to have different opinions and thoughts, and of course, and that's just part of it. I think this one is really a totally difference of opinion. But when restart was great. Deac and Josh were side by side, and kind of perhaps off of 2. Probably I would say middle of the back straightaway. Keep in mind, like you said, it's all happened a pretty good short amount of distance. But there's contact between Bobby and Deac, and Josh is definitely ahead of everybody. At the same time, towards the last half, as the cars enter 3, the 99 is on the outside of the 08, and here we are. All of us are looking straight across, not above or at. So depth perception is guessed or estimated from myself and the spotter. The spotters probably had a little bit better view than I did, because they were in turn 4. But from there, obviously there was contact up from those front guys for whatever reason, and it just was a bad racing deal. It's nothing that the series did or I did or anything like that, and it happened with the top guys, the winning guys, the successful guys, and contrary to their beliefs and other people's beliefs and fans like that, some of the best guys definitely make mistakes, and whenever there's mistakes like that and they're the top guys, there's it's bad for everybody else behind them, because it is up front. So I don't know. You probably have a different opinion than I do, and then some of the probably the best opinion would be the guys that were right there behind the 08 and 22 and 99, so I don't. I guess I don't really have an opinion other than it sucks that cars got tore up, and we had a pretty good race going on.
Yeah, and that was a major crash. I mean, Bobby, I guess, locked the brakes up, tried to avoid Deac, and got turned around there, and they just kept piling in. And Brandon Pierce, he probably took the biggest shot of all of that when Joshua Yeoman came in there and nearly flipped him over. That was an intense crash, probably one of the biggest I've ever seen in the car store, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's I feel like normally we don't tear up a whole lot of race cars. Some people may say different. I think we have incidents here and there, or whatever. We had a pretty big incident at Motor Mile. I think that was more, that was definitely a mistake off of 2 guys getting into each other, or a young guy still learning, losing it in front of everybody. But even now, it was kind of towards the back half. But anytime you have an incident, I don't care what track we're at. If we're if you're on the Cup Series at Talladega, if you're at the Wake County, if you have an incident, between the second and third place runners, it kind of leaves other people to either try to get through it or jam on the brakes in time, and it's just not a good deal all the way around.
Yeah, that crash had major points implications. Of course, Josh Berry went on to win the race. Deac McCaskill finished second, but Bobby McCarty, who was, I believe, 1 point ahead, going into that race, crashed out. I'm not sure where he's at points-wise. You probably know. But
12 behind right now.
12 behind. So that race had major points implications, and of course, Bobby McCarty in his interview kind of called out Deac, said that Deac was helping Josh Berry win the championship. Do you think that was frustration in the moment, or do you think he really believes that?
I think it was just frustration in the moment. I mean, surely, Bobby doesn't really think that. If so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I think it's more frustration than anything. I mean, it doesn't. I just, I don't think that there's anything that leads up to that. It could have been just as equally as Deac involved in that incident as well, and once there's contact, what you do and how drivers react determine on who's in the incident. So Bobby could have collected Deac in it, and as it was, I don't know, it just didn't make any scientific or earlier sense than that, as far as all year Deac's kind of ran his race and he got his win at Langley when the opportunity presented itself, but he still raced Josh hard after that. I think these guys all have pretty good respect amount for each other, and once the helmet's on, they're out there to win for themselves and their own team. So I think the same thing would be said if Sammy Smith was having a good finish because he wanted to have a good finish. So look, I think it's a frustration thing. That was a very frustrating moment too, for all of us. So I think that's more so what it is, and that's understandable, and that's being passionate, and that's the desire to. We've never had a repeat champion in either division, supers or late model stock. So that's a pretty big crown, I think, to have, and Josh and Deac and Bobby are the three guys that all have won championships, and that are all the top three in the mix.
Yeah, definitely. It's very very interesting for the series, though. I mean, we've talked about it every show. I mean, first we had the two points leaders, Josh Berry and Bobby McCarty, going at it from Ace, Motor Mile, all the way through, and here we are. It's getting even more intense because now Bobby has to come from behind, and I mean this is good for the series because it just builds more anticipation and excitement for the fans.
Absolutely. I mean, it's there's incidents where Josh has kind of been in bad situations, and it's kind of it's built, like you said, throughout the year, and we've had some really good races, and we still got the thing of it is we've got 3 really strong races still left to go at some places. 2 out of the 3 are places that we've already been to, so that'll be interesting to see going forward who performs better at certain places, and it's been a long time since we've been to those places, April and beginning of April and end of March. So and then the season finale down in South Boston will be the wild card. So definitely a lot of reasons to still tune in and get to a car store race.
Well, I think one of the most interesting things about that with those 2 guys going for the championship is you go to Hickory, and they've both won. Josh is probably overall a little better there. You go to Orange County, they've both run good there. You don't ever know what to expect there. And then you go to South Boston, and that's probably, even though it wasn't for him last year on the tour, even though he secured the championship, that wasn't the greatest race for Bobby, but that's a really good track for him in the past, being where he started in limiteds and won races in late models before he moved to Nelson and won with them. So you got a very good scenario going down into these last 3 races where these 2 guys, in these 3 races could, continually swap back and forth with the points lead.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. I agree 100% with you. Is Bobby's won at Hickory, and so is Josh. But I kind of give the tilt a little bit to Josh there, and then South Boston. I don't think that's a place where Josh has had overly good success at, but and probably a little bit more favorable towards Bobby, who has had some success there. I know he didn't last year, but and then to me, maybe the wild card is Orange County. But we'll take it a race at a time, and the I guess thing that kind of transitioning as to the next race, sometimes the big wild card that we've seen in the past of guys coming in there and winning races is a throwback race going up at Hickory, because it brings some different people who race that race, or that's their last Cars Tour race of the year, or that's the one race they race a year. That's a place that we see a lot of quality drivers that I know will be there that could steal the win out from either one of them.
Absolutely, for sure. Before we move on to the throwback race, I wanted to make mention of Sammy Smith. Finished third. I think he's finished third like 3 times already this season. Had incredible runs in every race that he's run. He seems like one of those guys who he gets involved in stuff during the course of the race, but he always rallies back. He seems to be up on the wheel, and I mean that's I don't know how many more races he's running, but he could definitely be in the mix for a win before this season's over.
I agree. I think he's seems like a smart kid. Tries to learn and I see him talking and really leaning on Bob McCarty, his teammate there. And I think he kind of maybe gets roughed around to this that, but he knows when to give and he knows when to take. This particular weekend was a great showcase for the younger kids that do race the Cars Tour. I mean, he broke a rear end in qualifying. Team worked hard, got that changed out, started dead last on the field, and 24th. Passed cars. It wasn't like he was just hanging around there, but he passed cars. Transitioning through about right around that probably 10th, 12th position as it kind of got on, and obviously missed that big wreck, but he had to pass a lot of cars to get where he was, and he's done that most every time. So really look forward to seeing him. I think he'll be at most of them. I think at least 2 out of the 3, maybe all 3 of them. But he'll be a pretty good one to see here at these few races as well.
Yeah, for sure. Another guy who had a great run that I don't want to go without mentioning is Justin S. Carroll, the one from Virginia. He ended up finishing 5th. That's a great run for a guy who's only run 2 or 3 of these races.
Well, too, yeah, and it's I always kind of like to brag on our programs, but he finished 5th. He finished 5th, and he took home about $2,500 in the process too.
It's a pretty good day.
Which is because he was his 3rd race in a row, so that added $500 to his purse. Kirk Ipock, he's a Solid Rock carrier. He really jumped on board and jumped this race up, but. He got another $250 added to his purse because the first 7 people that just entered the race and showed up got $250, and then the top 5, 2nd through 5th, he finished 5th, got $300 added to their purse. So I think it was a great weekend for him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him at Hickory. I gave him a shout on the way out and said, "We'll see you at Hickory," and he kind of smiled at me. So, he had a great day financially. I think from what we could do, and a great day on the track, and it was a pretty good day for him as well.
Absolutely. Before I move on to the throwback race, anything I missed from Carteret?
No, I mean, I think it's I know Ridge 22 talking about short track racing is not dead. Once again, we had a packed house. Carteret County said it looked a lot like some of their crowds when they first opened. So that was awesome to see that those folks out there really support the Cars Tour, support that track, and that was a record car count there with 24. And I mean, just a good facility to go to, and Solid Rock Carriers helping make the race what it was. That's just want to give a big thanks to everybody who made it a success, because short track racing, that crowd was definitely what we like to see in the car counts. I know they've been dying for a big car count, and they got to see it. So the place was packed. It was probably one of our top 3 car counts so far. I mean, crowd counts this year, and that's saying something, because we've had great crowd support this season.
Yeah, been amazing crowds all season, and Carteret, just the way it's laid out, the crowd even looks better there than some of the other tracks that may have had a little bit bigger of a crowd. Just the way the stands and everything lays out, it just looks so good there. That place is awesome for sure, and that was the largest late model stock car field that's ever taken the green flag there. So it's something to be proud of for sure. Throwback race coming up. I know you guys are excited. I know you guys have been putting out some of the paint schemes and such for this race. I believe I seen Jonathan Finley's just a little while ago.
Yeah.
Man, tell us what you're seeing come together for this race.
Man, it's going to be good. It's a race I always get excited about and stoked about, and I think you're going to see a lot of paint scheme, a lot of guys getting on board with it. They're all coming in with just every day. We've got a lot of them stacked up here that we will release. We kind of release all those through the Cars Tour Facebook and the Cars Tour Twitter and Cars Tour Instagram. So kind of spread out the love and the release, not to overload one thing or another, but we're releasing 1 or 2 of those a day, every day. We'll have some video content coming on those too. So it's really cool to see some of the ones coming together. And then, you've got some great entries already for the Super race. Those are coming in. Our entries for the Super, I think, are going to be strong. And I think you're going to see another great car count. Ticket sales are already going. Folks can get those carsracingtour.com. Cars Tour merch. We had that. We had the Cars Tour throwback shirts there at Carteret, and people love those. So we'll have the hats in here this week. You can pre-order those, or we'll have them there both on Friday and Saturday. And man, I think it's going to be another big event. We've got some cool schemes, some short track schemes. We got some NASCAR schemes. I love the old school kind of maybe. I don't know what you want to call them, but the garage kept like Cody Connor doing the 41 Kodiak scheme
awesome.
to Steve Grissom and Ricky Craven. That's kind of cool to me.
Yes.
So yeah, and I've got some other ones. Trevor Ward doing stuff to his dad, Dean Ward, that's coming.
That's awesome.
And we've got I think you're going to see a pretty cool one from Brandon Pierce coming. That's really short track and late model. A lot of late model folks will love. So man, you just got some cool stuff coming on. It's a lot of work, but I think it'll be all worth it. That's definitely the one that you got to get to.
Yeah, it's definitely a race that everybody will want to see, and I'm sure I know you guys will have your merchandise. I've heard a couple of the drivers talking about having their own merchandise for their throwback scheme. So it's definitely one that'll be something you want to pick up some T-shirts or hats or whatever. I know the Kodiak, his play on words there with his name for Cody Connor, that was epic. That's what makes this race. That's not in my mind. I'm like all about the late model, short track themed cars. But his whole deal and the way he did the hats and all, just that makes that race to me.
It does. It is, and it's from the competitor standpoint, and then coming up with these things. I'll never forget, Justin Carroll. He's like, man, I really want to do a throwback, but I can't do any. I said, you can, you got to dig deep and dig. So I was the one that gave him the idea about Dick Trickle, and then he goes out there and wins a race, and he puts the ladder in the car, and I love the short track throwback too, and I love the Cup Series throwback. It's like that Kodiak car and stuff like that. It ran at Hickory. It was a race at Hickory. So. And I always like our guests that are going to be honored. We'll hopefully announce those either Thursday or Friday of this week. We'll have our full lineup of guests that we like to honor that'll be there. So it's and we'll once again we'll have the best throwback car. We'll do $500 towards them. Hoosier Tire is going to put up that. John West Racing Engines will have the best dressed throwback team. Obviously, the Connor group is probably my strong vote right now, and then Pit Road Media will have $250 world cash award to the best dressed fan. So really, everybody can get involved here, and that's what's really cool. It's even just going through the stands and seeing all those fans and things like that, just dressed up, or that old T-shirt or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I'm sure Adam Fenwick has been working really hard on his outfit for the race. I know he's always got something epic for us.
Well, yes, yeah, he does. Adam's always on top of it. I try to get involved, so hopefully you'll have the Race 22 crew in some kind of throwback themed attire. Maybe they'll all be wearing Race 22 overalls or something.
We are working on some Race 22 throwback apparel, so we'll see how.
If I see Brandon White wearing the throwback overalls with Race 22 on them, I might have to buy him a bologna burger or something for sure.
Well, him and Andy would look cute in that, wouldn't they?
Oh, they would be great.
Oh, man. All right, man, you got me excited about this race. So, I'm excited about these last three. I mean, the season, every week I think to myself, well, this is going to be the race where it's a letdown. And every race, here we go, it's good every time. It's just amazing.
The racing has been good. I mean, the show's been good this year. I will say that. I think we had a little Touring 12 meeting internally, and we talked about how good the overall show has been, and everyone's not going to be a Grand Slam and the largest home run ever, but if you can still have great quality shows, try fix what you mess up on and things like that, and try to give the good show that we've had. It's all about the value, and I think we're bringing a valuable product to the track, to sponsors, to the media, and to the fans, and man, that's what we're trying to do. And we've got the throwback going on. I think that's what's cool. We had some great big highlight races too, and now we've kind of got one here in the summertime, which is a time that slows down a little bit, and then we'll go to Orange County for the super side of things and have a $10,000 to win for those guys. So yeah, our season is kind of we only run 10, 11, 12 events, whatever it may be, but it's action packed for sure in that short amount of time.
Well, I know you've already been working on the schedule for next year. You told us about that during the last show. How are you going to top this season? I mean, it's going to be hard. This has been, in my opinion, your best season, by far, not just based on car counts, fan counts, or whatever, just the action on the track. How are you going to top this?
I don't know. The thing of it is that if you I could have swore last year that was going to be the peak. And here we are this year, being better on our fifth anniversary season. This is only our fifth year, which is hard to believe. At some point, it's just the way the way it goes. You're going to have a little letdown, or it's going to flatten off, or whatever it may be. But we're going to do everything on our part to go to great racetracks, create that value, and give as much as we can to the competitors for them to have a reason to come. I think there's been a lot of new guys that's got their taste and of talking about the Carrolls, Terry and Justin there out of Virginia, and I think we do a good job of giving that good experience. So. And that's just what we gotta keep doing. What we're doing, we're trying to get the schedule done for next year, and that kind of lets us go in there and what can we do to fine tune ourselves and make it a little bit better. But I don't know how to necessarily give you that answer right away, but it ain't going to be because we're not going to try and work hard to do that.
Absolutely. We expect nothing less. You guys have, been over the top, and I'm not just telling you that because, I'm talking to you here, but I talk with, my guys, and I talk with different people, different promoters, some racetracks that you guys haven't been to yet, and everybody wants to be a part of it. So I'm sure next season is going to be just as good, and let's finish out these last 3 and see what happens.
That's right. We still got a lot of storylines left to tell, I'm sure.
Absolutely, for sure. That's one thing about it is every week my guys don't have to send me a message and go, what should we talk about this week? There's always something to talk about on the car store for sure. All right, man, we'll let you get out of here. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you after the throwback race.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, buddy.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.